How to turn your projects from being fragile to being agile. And projects today face just constant surprises. If you've worked on projects, that means you know to plan for the unexpected. Priorities shift, risks pop up all the time. Executives have great ideas that change us in a different direction. The company changes strategy. There's just constant change. And traditional plans crack under pressure because they assume stability. They assume you make the plan at the beginning of the project and it's the same at the end. And so teams aren't failing because they're bad. They're failing because the environment's changed, the situation has changed, the requirements have changed. And so nimbleness is needed for survival. And I know Agile is synonymous with Scrum and PI planning and scaled Agile and so on. But in the context of projects, it's about building a team that bends instead of breaking. So this presentation is going to talk about how to transform your projects from being fragile and breaking easily to being agile and being able to adapt. And so, what makes a project fragile? Well, they rely on these rigid plans and slow feedback in an environment that's constantly changing so that they snap. And let me give you a few examples, right? So, one is plans are viewed as sacred tablets that once they get established, it tells us the commandments, and those don't change. Or decisions just take forever and then just stall the whole project. Um, People are surprised that there's surprises. And as I mentioned, on projects, there's just constant surprises. And there's oh, we've always done it this way, and therefore we can't change, right? We have to be stagnant in how we do things. There's processes that are over-engineered. If you work in business, you're well familiar with this theme. And finally, meetings just where innovations go to die, people just rambling on, and you don't make any progress, just a lot of rhetoric, but no necessary forward progress. So look, Agile, it's not about sticky notes and so on. It's a way of thinking. It's a way of prioritizing our outcomes over tasks. It's a way of thinking about value and how do we deliver it early and often and prioritize the most important things first. It's about iterative development and trying things out and getting those feedback loops so that we can try things out and see how they do. It's empowering the team. So it's not about the PM telling them what to do. It's about the teams building the work and making progress. It's about learning over blaming, recognizing that change will happen and being ready to adapt. Look, there's a lot of moving parts on our projects and programs, and we want to make sure that we're prepared so when those changes happen, we can react quickly. And so here's a couple of ways to move from fragile to agile. So rather than having these ginormous detailed plans that don't get updated, maybe have more short iterative planning cycles every 3 months and so on, and so that you learn and you adapt. Having these giant status reports full of assumptions, moving to more demos and updates that show progress, things like vibe coding, as you might be aware of with AI. Rather than having decisions that just take multiple approvals and meetings, maybe empower the teams, drop the decisions a little bit lower and have them made by the teams and make them way quicker. The fact that you're surprised by surprises surprises me, but you want to build in those cycles so that you can expect and adapt to change. And again, staying on top and maintaining your deliverables, I think, is another way to respond when the surprises come up. And then, not having these calendars of just monster meetings that take forever, that drain time, is time box them. Have small alignments that are focused on moving things forward. And again, not having big, heavy processes, but lightweight processes that focus on the intention and not the prescription of the process. So look, we have to be like the streamliner here, the superhero who trims useless meetings and reduces artifacts that no one needs and automates repetitive tasks and creates single owners and removes the approval layers. Agile is about subtraction, not addition. And I know a lot of these things are embedded in how companies are built, and a lot of people are going to say, well, I'm not senior enough to influence all of these things, but it is a mindset, and part of our jobs is to be consultative and to recommend these things and demonstrate the value. So not just, hey, reduce these meetings, but demonstrate the value in your proposal and in your recommendations to become the streamliner. And so you want to build the agile mindset across your team, which is curiosity and experimentation. You can see the people here experimenting, although I don't think we need to bring flasks and beakers to work. You kind of get the point. You want to celebrate. Failure is not a bad thing. in many cases, it's about learning and what did you learn from that. It's about empowering the team and making the work visible. And you will want to reward being adaptable, not heroics, because heroics suggests that we weren't prepared and it's a fire drill. And you want to normalize course correction. Changes are perfectly fine. The business environment changes, the landscape changes, and so should our projects. So, look, the summary here is fragile is bad, heavy, rigid, slow, assumption driven projects. Agile, good in green. It's light, it's adaptive, it's fast, it's based on feedback. And so the key points is you want to focus on the outcomes, not on meetings. You want shorter cycles where you're experimenting and you're trying things out and you're learning. You want a team and processes that are adaptable, that change, because you know that change is going to happen. So the goal is that your projects bend, but they don't break. Thanks for watching this video.